What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tsla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some very important levels to be watching for and what's going on with the data that's coming out. That's going to cause a very, very big move at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time today. But before we get the intelligible information, before I get into any more details, let me mention two things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, but it's the entire community as a whole. Anyways, for SPY, I just wanted to mention that we pumped very, very nicely, especially after Jerome Powell's speech yesterday. And then we got very close to about 550. Very close. We were just about a point away. And then as we get close to 550, we do have some tough resistance to be watching for. So when we watch to see how SPY reacts right here, please note and keep this in your mind that today we have some very important data coming out. We just had an initial jobless claims, which was at 238,000. This was once again above expectations. However, at 9:45 a.m., we have the SP Global Composites and Services PMI report. So this may cause some volatility as well. We'll have to see what this looks like. And then at 10 o'clock a.m., we also have the ISM services new orders, services new prices, and employment. This data is going to be very important because it's very forward looking and it's going to affect inflation. Services make up a very, very big sector of this economy. So seeing how the data is looking for the month of June is going to cause a very, very big move. So expect some high volatility at 10 o'clock a.m., 30 minutes after the stock market opens today. Once again, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will see if this causes the market to get a rug pull or not. I'll be very patient to see what this data looks like. I want to give you guys a warning about this. Get ready for a very, very big move. The market's currently neutral in terms of sentiments. We're going to see if we turn more fearful or greedy in terms of our emotion driving the markets. And then right now, momentum is still at extreme greed because we're still at a very, very high valuation that is maintaining its same stance. Now, for earnings, there's not really much coming out, but just remember that for Wednesday, which is today, the market's going to close early. So we're going to be closing at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. So it's going to be a very, very early close. And then tomorrow, being Thursday, July 4th, the stock market's going to be closed. So be prepared for all of this. That's my warning for everyone. What do I see for the charts moving forward? SPY has this resistance around this 549 area. If we open up, it is possible we kind of shuffle here just for a bit, and then once the data comes out, we'll be watching to see. I personally think that it actually might shuffle, maybe dip a little bit. We could get very close to about 547 is possible. I think we're going to most likely shuffle, maybe dip just a little bit, and then once we get the big data release, we will see if this leads to a big pump for SPY back up to 550 plus, or if we continue to fall and we start coming down to this imbalance around 545.8. So I'll be watching to see how things end up going right here. SPY has kind of like a little channel right here where it's going back and forth between supply and demand. We love to get bought up around 542. We love to reject off very close to 550. So we will wait and see. Do we see one more pump? So once the data comes out, do we pump back up to 550 and start breaking out? Or do we get a big rejection? I'll be watching for that. When we open, might be a little dip coming to SPY, but then once the data comes out at 10 o'clock a.m., and the data is decent, SPY could try to touch 550. If we break through this, we could be going to 552 and then 554. So watch 550 as key resistance, see if we break the 550 area or not. And then if we fail to do so, let's just say the data is not that great, the market kind of pumps and starts dumping. Watch 547. If we lose this, I think that we're at risk of coming all the way back down closer to 544. So watch and see which way do we break once the data comes out. Be very, very patient. I will have to wait and see as well. For Nvda, we have a bit of a bearish looking channel so far. We're kind of downtrending like this, going back and forth and back and forth. We need to see this thing break past 127 in order for this to turn back to bullish. So we will have to see if that ends up being the case. I'm going to be very, very patient nonetheless just to see how things go, but make sure you watch these levels and we see how things develop at least moving forward. For Bitcoin got this big rejection off this 63,000 area. I'll be watching to see what happens at 60,000 as well. It's going to be our very, very key support. If we lose support here and we fail to hold 60,000, I think we're going to be revisiting this low at 58,000. And if we get a bounce of 60,000, we could technically make our way back up to 61,600. So watch 60,000. Do we bounce or not? We're at some key support. But I do want to note that Bitcoin is looking kind of weak. We have a downtrend that's been established. I am seeing some weakness in the chart just temporarily. So there could be a little dip coming back down to like 58,000. I do see a risk of that looking at the current chart. For Tesla, we're continuing to rally very, very nicely. However, Tesla is also going to be gapping up. And if I pull up the 30 minutes time frame just for reference, you guys can see how it's been respecting these levels. So I have a lot of levels drawn out. I'm going to make this little bit easier to see for a second. But basically, Tesla loves to just push and push and push and push. We pushed all the way up to about 240 a share, all the way up here. And then we kind of rejected here. We came all the way back down to 233. Now we're trying to rebound to 235. We'll be watching to see if Tesla establishes a lower high. If that's the case, if we reject before 238, we could see Tesla dip just a little bit. We could be looking for a retest of 233 or so. If we get a little rejection, we kind of pop and drop, then we might see a lot of consolidation over here. And then we'll be looking for a big reaction after the data comes out at 10 a.m. If the data causes a launch, Tesla could be going back up to 238 and even 240. And if we get a rug pull, Tesla could be dipping all the way back down to 231 to fill this gap and then continue to fall to 228. So we'll be watching to see. Even if Tesla does come down, it's going to be completely fine. The uptrend is still there for the long term. It's going to be fine nonetheless, so don't even worry about it. For the QQQ, we look kind of weak on the 30 minutes time frame. We're going to be watching this 486 area. If we lose this, we're going to be dipping to 484. I'll be watching to see how well this holds up. If we lose 484, we're going to be dipping all the way down to 482. If we hold 484, we could try to rebound. I do see a risk of it dipping a little bit lower, though. I think when we open, we might dip on the QQQ and also on SPY. But we'll have to see what the big reaction is at 10 o'clock a.m. Once all this data starts to come out, we'll see if that leads to the QQQ getting a big bounce and revisiting all-time highs and trying to break 488, or if we get a big rejection. Looking at the charts, as you guys can see, we do love to reject off 488. We did end up approaching that earlier today during the pre-market, so we will see if we get a rejection or not. You could even interpret this as a cup and handle. We'll see if this breaks out or not. I'm going to be very patient, but for now, I do see a little dip coming, and we'll have to see what the reaction is at 10 o'clock a.m. Same thing with Aapl. We're just kind of trading sideways. Watch this 219 area, our 20 EMA. If we lose this, we're dipping all the way down to 218 and eventually 216. And if we break past 220, we could turn back to bullish. I see a little dip coming, and we'll see. That's just for market open. Then we'll see how things go from there. Let me just quickly go through the rest of these very, very fast. Coinbase is dipping a little bit, guys. Just be a little bit careful with this. We have this trend line of support that's going to be approached. So it might dip a bit towards the trend line, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not. If we bounce off the trend line, we're going to be going back up to 230. If we lose this, we'll be dipping all the way down towards the lower levels, like 210. For Amazon pushed all the way up. We have a bearish divergence that's kind of forming. Watch 200. If we lose that, we'll be dipping back down to 197.5. If we break 200, we're going up to 202, so we'll have to wait and see. For Meta has a little bit of rejection right here at 512.5. If we lose 507.5, we'll be dipping all the way down towards 505 and then eventually 498. If we bounce off this, we could be retesting 512. I am seeing some signs of weakness in a dip to 507 coming, so we'll see what the reaction is. Microsoft is also going to dip to 457, if not 455, if that fails. So we'll have to wait and see. So the market looks like it wants to dip a little bit. Same thing with Google, going to likely test 185, if not lower levels. So I'm seeing some risks of the market dipping a little bit, at least upon open. However, don't be fooled by that. It does not mean the market's going to crash. It depends on the data coming out at 10 o'clock a.m. So we will see if this leads to a rug pull or not. So we're going to be very, very patient nonetheless. With that being said, guys, thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in just a couple of hours. Get ready for 10 a.m. when we see some big data, and we'll see what that leads to. All right. Thank you, and peace out.